We back again, man. You know what this is? This is CTB. This is Chan Tuck Boxing. I'm your boy Jay Slay. So what up to him, man?
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in.
Most definitely. If you guys ain't heard the news, man, it seems that the WBC are back up to their old tricks, man. They're playing politics, man, for the PBC. They have recently moved down Bruce Ennis from his rankings. And guess who they replaced him with, man? They replaced him with none other than Keith. I need more than one shot to knock you down, Thurman.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about it, man. We want to see how. Number one, I want to ask you a question. Do you think Keith Thurman even deserved that spot coming off of that win against Barrios? Let's start there before we get into the WBC. What did the WBC actually see in that Barrios fight that made them think that he would be a better competitor than Bruce Ennis?
I have no idea. Only thing I can say is the only reason I can comment for the WBC moving him up so high is because of his past history, which I think is not fair. Like, if they saying that maybe we dropped him because of his inactivity, and once he got active again, he proved that he was a solid fighter, in his return, which it won't mind blowing what he did, a couple weeks ago, but it was a solid win, and maybe because of that, they feel like he should be back in contention to be able to fight for a belt, because I guess like you said, we go back to it again, he only got one loss and he's beat a lot of good champions, and I guess they feel like he deserves a shot to be back in the sweepstakes. Now I don't believe that, but if I'm trying to reason what the WBC is doing, that's the only thing I can come up with to the reasoning to pitting him that high and pitting him over Bruce Ennis, that's been way more active and was ahead of him in the rankings. And from what I've seen, Bruce Ennis haven't done anything wrong to push him down the rankings. So I'm a little puzzled on what the WBC is doing it, but like you said, we'll get a little further into it because it sounds like it's a little bit more politics rather than going by what they should be doing.
Exactly. Pretty much hit the nail on the head for me. That's exactly what I was going to say. It just seems to me that it's all about politics. Because really, in my opinion, Keith Thurman coming off the Pacquiao loss and then having the performance he just had after a long layoff, to me, he needs another fight to even be mentioned in the top five in any sanctioned body, in my opinion. But let's talk about those politics real quick, man. We already heard the rumors about, a possible Keith Thurman versus Earl Spence fight being talked about next instead of a Terrence Crawford fight with Earl Spence. Does this prove that that's possibly the move that they want to make? Does this move in your mind kind of solidify that rumor?
Yeah, it does. I feel like, now I gave you a reasoning to why they might have put him ahead. Now I'm gonna say what I think it is, and what I think it is that the WBC is trying to make the most money they can make. But even though Bruce Ennis deserves to be ahead of Thurman, and he's more talented to me at this stage, he's doing more in the sport as far as being active and beating real 147-pound fighters. I think that Keith Thurman brings more money to the table at the moment. So the WBC is setting up their rankings to be in position for big money fights. Like, with me, I think Virgil Ortiz might be a bigger draw than Boots right now at the time. That's why he's still a little bit higher. Of course, Keith Thurman is a bigger draw. And then you got Terrence Crawford, which is probably the biggest fight in boxing between him and Earl Spence. So everybody want to have their hand in the cookie jar. So right now, Bruce Ennis is more of a threat to pretty much hinder them from getting the biggest paydays they can get. So I think Bruce Ennis is going to be a star in the future. He's going to be a money guy in the future. But as of right now, to, I guess, the casual world of boxing, he's still an unknown fighter, which means he's not going to bring in a lot of money. So to me, I think a lot of these sanctioned bodies going to blackball Bruce Ennis until the Keith Thurman, the Keith Thurman, Crawford, and Spence situation is settled. Once they done fought and the dust done cleared and it's time to create new up and coming guys at 147, I think Bruce Ennis is gonna be one of the guys at the center of attention along with Virgil Ortiz and a couple other guys. So I see what they're doing, but it's not right. You got rules and regulations, you got ways of how you do the rankings, and I feel like all these sanctioning bodies is all over the place. Like you said, the WBO, they tend to favor top rank. The WBC tends to favor PBC, And crazy as it may seem, even though WBC is the biggest belt right now, is considered like the Super Bowl of boxing. To me right now, the best belt is the IBF. The IBF to me seems to be the belt that is, sticking to their rules a little bit more stricter than the other sanctioning bodies. And while the other body, like even with the WBA, I had a lot of respect for the WBA until recently, because even them, they kind of turn the corner to get the biggest fights they can get. Because we had Ugas getting ready to fight Stanionis, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, he's out the way, and now Ugas and Spence can fight, which I'm not mad at in that situation, because we get a unification fight and we can get one of those guys out the way so we can get the major fight at 147, which is for undisputed. But if they had went by the rules and regulations, most likely Stanionis would have got that fight with Ugas first. But because of politics and boxing, we got to make that money. So I get it, but it's still a black eye for the sport to me.
Yeah, I agree, man. The WBC are definitely falling around the PBC, and in my opinion, it's a power play. The PBC made a really, really big power play with that move, in my opinion, because what they pretty much did is solidify that no matter who wins, say a Terence Crawford and Errol Spence do fight next, they pretty much are solidifying no matter who wins, they get another shot at undisputed, because Keith Thurman will be right there with his name, with his claim for the mandatory. If he beat Ortiz, he'll be able to take his claim, I'm the mandatory for the WBC belt. I want my shot at undisputed. He'll, like you said, he'll be the money man. So this already sold up. So that whoever will win between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence will be tempted on fighting him just because of the money. But now they have the politics behind it also. Now they can say that, yeah, he's high in our rankings. You know what I'm saying? He's up next, so we want that fight. So that's a win-win for PBC. So if Errol Spence happened to beat Crawford, then, it'd be an in-house fight. But if Crawford happens to beat him, now they get their chance at another shot at Crawford, so the PBC can get their hands back on those belts. That's one case that I see. The other case that I see is they are trying to either have a plan B just in case the Terence Crawford fight doesn't happen, or they're trying to put something in the way of a Terence Crawford fight.